Right. So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sid Raskar. I'm an assistant computer scientist here in ALCF, and I work on AI testbeds, Polaris, and various hardware architectures, mostly on performance evaluations here at ALCF. I'll be continuing with where we left off, and I'll be walking through the rest of the two systems that we have here as a part of AI testbed systems, which is Grok and GraphCore. I'll be following a similar format as Varuni did, and I'll be just walking you through how to set up virtual environments and how to get started with these systems. So first, let's start with the Grok system. So on our GitHub page, like as well as the other resource that has been pointed out is like this docs on ALCF. So these are the two good resources that I'll be following for this session. So similar to earlier systems, basically you have to SSH to one of the login nodes for Grok. And from there, there is a two-tier process. So you have to log in SSH to another one of these nodes here, and the instructions are given here. Once you are on these Grok Crack nodes, you have to create your virtual environment. The process to set up virtual environments is a little different on Grok nodes. Here you have to set up Conda on your home directory on your own. And once you have that, then you have to use Conda to create virtual environment. And the instructions to do that are here. And once you have that set up, basically you can submit your jobs. And then I'll be walking you through one of the examples here, which is for mini LM application, which is here. So that's the overview. And then all the helpful resources. The first one I have pointed out, which is ALCF's Grok documentation. Then Grok themselves has this portal where you have to sign up, and then you can get access to their internal documentation. And another important resource here is Grok's GitHub repo. So it's called Grok Flow, and in there there is a directory called as proof points where you have a lot of examples, and we'll be following one of the examples from natural language processing directory here, which is MiniLM. Okay, so I'll just hop onto my terminal and we can get started by following instructions on the GitHub repo. So the first step here is to SSH to grok.ai.alcf.gov. So I'll be SSHing with my username to this location. And then, as explained earlier, you should have your mobile pass plus configured. So you'll be entering your digits from there over here. And if successful, you should be on one of the Grok login nodes. So in this case, I'm on Grok login 02. And now once there, you can choose one of the login nodes here from 1 to 9, like Grok rack nodes. So in my case, I'll just choose this first one. But as Varuni said, like feel free to go to the different nodes. So I'll be SSHing to one of the rack nodes. Okay, so I'm here. So now the next step is to install Miniconda. Now I have already done this step, so I'll not be repeating this. But I will be activating my Miniconda. So I have set that up under my projects directory. So I have just created like init Conda file here, which is typically in your bash RC, which will basically initialize the Conda for you. So I'll be just, so now I have my Conda here. As you can see, I'm in the base environment. I can see all the other environments here. So I already have this Grok flow environment here. So I'll for the sake of this tutorial, I'll just remove it and we can start from the scratch. So yeah, to set up this environment, once you have your Conda installed, basically like Grok suggests us to use this particular version of Python. So we'll first export that. Once I'm done removing this directory. Yeah, so I'll be just exporting the Python version, and I'll create a new Conda environment called as Grokflow, and I'll be using this version of Python for that. It'll take some time. Okay, so it's done. So once done, you just have to activate this Conda environment. And now you're inside that Conda environment, as you can see here. Now the next step is to install Grokflow. So Grokflow is this repository from Grok's GitHub. So first we'll be cloning it. So you can choose any directory here. So I'll just do it in my this current directory. So I just make sure that I don't have Grokflow here. So I have it, so I delete it. So we have to simply clone Grokflow, and then I will get into this directory. So I followed this step, and these instructions are a little different than your typical like setup for a particular uh, like a software package, but these instructions work. So first you have to make sure that existing things don't are not there. So in this case, we are starting fresh, so that's not a problem. You're just upgrading the pip, it's standard. And then you just have to like we'll be installing all the requirements in this frozen.txt. And this step will take some time. So it's basically installing all the requirements and dependencies here. So these steps you only have to follow for once while you're setting up your virtual environment. You don't have to do them again and again for a particular application. So as you can see, it's installing all these dependencies and packages. Once that's done, we'll be going into the demo helpers and following the same things. We'll be installing that. So while that's going on, I'll quickly walk you through the Grok's documentation that's available on LCF's documentation page. Uh, so please refer to this page for the latest updated instructions. And so far we are following the same instructions. So we are in the virtual environment setup as it's also mentioned here. Okay, so it's done. So now we'll be going into demo helpers and setting that up. Again, as pointed here, like again, we don't have to worry about this step because we are starting fresh. So we'll just install demo helpers. Okay. And now there is one more dependency. So we'll also quickly go and install that into our virtual environment. That's done. Okay, so with that, our virtual environment setup is done. Now, in order to run the application, you can either do it in an interactive way or you can also submit it as a batch job. In this case, I'll just go ahead and start an interactive session using the qsub command. So as mentioned here, so we use PBS on Grok Rack and you can use all these other commands like to submit job and to display the queue information, to delete job, etc. So in this case, uh, I will go ahead and get a Grok Rack, and I'm saying I want exclusive access to this Grok Rack in interactive way. Uh, this something is missing something to run it in interactive way. Yeah, so now I have the mode in interactive way. I was missing dash I here. So let me just since I was missing the dash I, let me get the exclusive interactive node. With this command, I got like entire Grok rack. Select one with exclusive placement. Okay, so we are here. So now that we are here, we just have to get our Conda environment back again. So for that, I'll be going to my directory and enabling Conda and just activate the Grok flow environment that we just set up on the uh, Grok rack node. Now here, like we'll go into, so basically we are trying to execute this example mini LM, which is from Grok flow. So we'll be going into the proof points directory here, natural language processing mini LM. So we'll be executing this particular Python code here. Uh, so let's go to that directory. Yes, we have our files here. So just like any other Python script, first we have to install the requirements. As you can see here, like we followed all these instructions to activate Grok flow. So we just have to install this specific mini LM specific requirements here. Again, you have to do this only for the first time when you're executing this. And then you can, since we already have the node, you can go ahead and execute this Python script for mini LM. So on the repository, you also have a sample output here. So first it will be downloading the vocab files and everything, then converting the Onyx model into this, and then it will run it. So because I ran this model earlier, it skipped all these steps that you see here for building the model, and it directly started with the inference here. and it's running the inference. So this is the example. So yeah, so while it's running, are there any questions so far in this process?
Good so far, sir.
Okay. So in addition to these examples, you can find other examples from natural language processing here, or just to get started, there are like computer vision examples, etc. So feel free to uh, try those out as well. Yeah, so it's done running, and as you can see, it ran it both on CPU and ROC, and here are the performance metric. Okay, so that's all I had on the demo part on Grok side. So if there are no more questions, I can go to the next AI testbed.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. So the next AI testbed that we have here is from GraphCore. And just like other AI testbeds, we have instructions about how to connect to it and uh, get started with it. So similar to other AI testbeds from your local machine, you connect to one of the lock-in nodes for GraphCore. And then from there, you have to SSH to one of these GC nodes. And from there, you get access to all the 64 IPUs that you have here. And similar to the Grok system, but instead of using Conda, you use virtual environments here. So you'll be creating a virtual environment. And there are different, you should ideally set up different virtual environments, one for PyTorch and TensorFlow. The wheels for installing this are present in the software GraphCore Popular SDK directory. So you can directly just pip install that particular wheel here. And because everything is local, it should be quite fast. So PopTorch is like what GraphCore software environment is used to run PyTorch models. And then there are these some environmental variables that you can set up to set up like what kind of warnings you want, or the cache directory, or to set up the Python path. And once you're done with that, like useful repository for all the graph correlated things is this GraphCore's examples repository, which is open source. So here you will find various models from GraphCore that will work on GraphCore pretty much out of the box, from graph neural networks to natural language processing to vision, as well as they have some tutorials here. So this is a like go-to repository to get started with the GraphCore models. So basically, we'll be cloning that repository, checking out particular version which is compatible with our software stack here, and we'll be running that. So today, so the job scheduling system that's used on GraphCore is Slurm, and you can find about all that under like GraphCore job queuing. So it's Slurm, and it has all the typical Slurm commands like srun, nesbatch, sq, etc. to submit the jobs interactively or in a batch way, and then checking their status. So all that information is on the documentation, and summary of that is here as well. So today we'll be running this GPT-2 example, and I'll go there shortly. Then as mentioned earlier today, they also have good profiling tools called as pop vision tools. And I will not be going into this today unless you really want me to. So they have good profiling tools to see how exactly your model ran onto the IPUs. And here are the instructions to visualize that and getting for like deeper performance metrics from the hardware. So here are instructions for that. Uh, then other useful resources. So like first of all, it's ALCF's GraphCode documentation that I already showed you. GraphCode themselves have a open documentation, very detailed. So please feel free to go on this link and explore how to get started, how to port your models, etc. And then GraphQL's example GitHub repository, which is this, which I already showed you, is a good place to get started. And then on LCF systems, slash software GraphCore popular SDK is where you'll find most of the software from PopTorch or PyTorch or TensorFlow that you need to install. So with that high level overview, similar to earlier systems, I'll get started by following these instructions one by one. So I'll open a new terminal here, and here we will SSH to GraphCore system. So its name is this GC login. It didn't ask me for a mobile password because I already have connection open to GraphCore in another window. But otherwise, typically you enter your password there. So as you can see, you are on GC login 1 here. And then from here, you have to SSH to one of these systems. Let's go to 02. All right, so we are on 02 now. So here, basically, we'll be creating these virtual environments. So let's see if I already have this directory. Okay, good. I don't have it. So let's create this directory in my home directory in this case. And we'll be creating a new virtual environment called as PopTorch 3.3 for the software SDK version with this virtual environment command. So it just created a new environment, and now you have to activate it. So it's in virtual environments, and then PopTorch happened. This one. And there should be binary there, and then you just have to activate it. So I've activated this virtual environment called as PopTorch 33, and which is this step. So now we'll be installing the wheels for PyTorch in this virtual environment. And as I mentioned earlier, like uh, most of the software that you need are present in this location. So we are interested in version 3.3. So here you have all these other wheels as well for Keras or for Pop Art, Popular, and many others. So this is the place for that. So we will be installing this particular PopTorch 3.3 wheel here. So for that, for convenience, we'll just set popular SDK root and then just export it as a variable so that we have it here. So we'll just pip install this particular wheel into our virtual environment. Okay, now that's done. So I'll be skipping these instructions, but if your particular model is only available in TensorFlow, please feel free to follow these instructions to set up a separate virtual environment for TensorFlow. Now we can also quickly go through these steps to quickly set up these miscellaneous environmental variables. They will be useful later on if you decide to use them. Last one, which is just updating the Python path. All right, so with that, our virtual environment is set up. Now, in order to run the GPT two example here. First, that example is present in this graph course example repo. So we will clone this repository. I'll just clone it in my home directory. I hope I don't have examples it's here, so I'll just delete it and I'll clone it again. Okay. So graph for examples. So there are various versions that keep releasing. So the one that we are interested in today is 3.3.0. So we'll just check out that particular branch. All right, so it's done. So now, so let's follow instructions to run GPT-2, which are present here. So that particular example is present in examples NLP GPT-2 PyTorch. So let's go to that directory. So yeah, that one is now there. So NLP GPT-2 PyTorch. So yeah, this is where all our files are. So now we have already taken care of these instructions to set up PyTorch environment, and we are already in that environment. But there are some application specific requirements. So we'll go ahead and install those in our virtual environment. So that's done. And now there are various ways to run this. So basically we'll be using srun, and this is the place where you're saying how many IPs you want. Then like Python, and then you'll be running this particular .py file, which is to train GPT-2. And all these others are the flags that you're giving to this Python file. So basically you're saying like choose GPT-2 model here, number of replicas should be 4, replication factor should be 1, etc., etc. So like you can find the explanation for all these flags, like which optimizer, max length, etc., into the Python file, or some of them are also mentioned here, examples, graph core, running it. So some of them are also mentioned, like everything is mentioned here. So what we will do is we'll copy this or this, anything, and we will run it. So basically, once we press enter, we will request 16 IPUs from the Slurm system, and the job will run on those IPUs. Okay, so while that's running, are there any questions so far?
No, nothing so far. This is good. This is very clear.
Okay,
what is the utilization level set of all these AI testbeds?
So that varies from, I don't have like exact number, but anytime that you're running, like you can check if other users are using it. So typically that like it varies from time to time during the day.
Got it.
Or you're referring to like how?
I guess better than the Polaris queues, right?
Yes, better than Polaris. Polaris is definitely oversubscribed.
Yes, you don't have any trouble with the Cerberus queues.
Yeah. And then for your convenience, like sample output is also present here, so that you know like what to expect while you're running it, like what output you should be expecting. So that's also here. So we can let that run. Yeah, so that's all I had from Grok and GraphCore side. Yeah. So this will take some time to run. While that's running, I can quickly walk you guys through the examples repository that GraphCo has. So today we are running from NLP GPT to PyTorch. So this is the example that we are running. But in addition to that, there are GPT-3, GPT like Llama, BERT, Loom, other models as well that some of them I have tried that work. And in addition to NLP, like they also have for various vision models, etc., as well as tutorials where you can uh, like learn like how to get started with PyTorch geometric, etc.
Any chance is there like a multi-agent example for graphical or for graphical?
Which example? Your voice was not clear.
Is if we get a multi-agent example, like running multiple concurrent versions of these LLMs on a single task.
Multi-agent one will, if it's there, then it should be here. I'm not sure if it exists, like Murli or Varuni or Bill. Are you guys are aware of any of these multi-agent example?
Not as per my knowledge. But yeah, it's been a bit of a time that I have taken a look at these examples. But we can get back to you.
Okay, thank you. By any chance, are you aware of anyone using these systems in that way, or is it mostly in like a high throughput training, or it's mostly training?
Sorry, that question was not entirely clear.
Yeah. Are you aware of any groups using this in like a multi-agent like task? Or have you mostly seen like training type workflows on the AI testbed? So,
Yeah, most of them, use these test beds for like training specifically.
gotcha.
Of course, Grok is for inference. But yeah, and usually these test beds provide more advantage for like larger models or training at scale. Um, so yeah, that's
Okay.
most of the teams like really target for these particular machines specifically, like large image sizes or resolutions or long sequence length context and so on.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, so like from the demo or hands-on aspect, like that's all I had to share. So with that, like I guess we are open for questions, discussion.
Good. All right. Long day. All
Yeah,
right. Thanks.
any question, if not today, sometime in the future, please feel free to shoot a mail to anyone or the help at alcf.anl.gov. And then, yeah, you should have access of these systems for, I'm not sure till when, But then we can cross check that and get
Yeah.
back. Yeah.
Is anyone following this along with us? Like, or did you face any issues while following this today?
So again, if anyone faces any issues,
Like, was anyone following along with us while we were showing how to get started with these systems? And do they have any issues?
yeah. Alex here behind me was doing it. I think Anushka has used the AI test bed substantially. So yeah, we have a number of people that have
Okay.
used it and we're following along. We're with a lot of intent today.
All right. So everything ran smoothly, or were there any issues?
Right now, we are currently, we only have an allocation on the
Oh.
Cerebrus, so we were able to do that with like no problem. And then we were just kind of following around along for the other ones.
Okay.
We did, I think, try getting on Sambia.
So we don't have an allocation.
Yeah. Murli, is it possible? Maybe we'll request a new allocation for. We have that AI testbed allocation. Can we just add in the same one access for the other ones, or should we make a separate request?
I think Murli just stepped out for a couple of minutes. But
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
you can
We'll
just
follow up
shoot-
separately. I mean, I
yeah,
think.
you can just shoot a mail requesting for the system and the person name or the ALCF username,
Yeah.
and that should be good enough.
Try it on that one. It's requested on that. All right, great. Thank you so much. This is a great day, and thanks to Murli and Venkat for helping coordinate this. A lot of great material, and then there'll be recordings of all of these, so we'll put it together and then send them over to you. Send them over to the participants. So lots of great material today.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Thanks, Sid. Thanks, Varuni. And then thanks, Murli.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.